Now just past 8 p.m. and 6 p.m. in Tripoli, where Libyan rebels say they have Muammar Gaddafi surrounded. But in a purportedly new audio message from the colonel, he says he's still fighting on the front line. Whatever the truth, Italy is promising to transfer millions of dollars of frozen Libyan assets over to rebel authorities. Let's get more now from RT's Sarah Firth, who is in Milan. Sarah, conflicting messages then coming out of Tripoli. Who do we believe?
It's very, very hard to distinguish exactly what of this information is fact and what's fiction. Now, earlier today, a meeting took place between the Italian government and the head of the rebel council leader, Mahmoud Jibril. And after that, we heard Prime Minister Berlusconi announcing that Italy's pledging to release $500 million of frozen assets to the rebel council, a huge amount of money. And we've been hearing the conflicting reports coming on the back of that, that the rebels have been able to locate Gaddafi. We then heard an announcement from his spokesperson saying Gaddafi was still leading the fight against the rebels. And we've also heard just recently that another statement's been released of Gaddafi speaking in Libya. That's been released, and he's still, as we said, calling on the rebels to lead the fight. Still a very disorganised picture that we're getting. And it really draws into focus here what critics have been saying today about whether it's really the right time to be releasing this money to the rebel council. It's still extremely unsure exactly who the rebels are, who's going to lead them, whether they're organised enough now to take Libya forward and to be able to manage the country. Now, to tell us more about this, I'm joined by Luca, who works here in Italy as a reporter. You work for peacereporter.net. You've been following this story very closely, and we've been hearing some people calling this a war of disinformation. Who do we trust?
It's very difficult to answer this question. It is true that the situation is very unstable, volatile and unpredictable. Still, we don't know where Gaddafi is. They say that they have broke out into the compound. They say that many fighters loyal to him have been killed, but of Colonel Gaddafi there's no clue where he can be. Somebody said that he's in the tunnels, in the secret and very mysterious tunnels that have been digged in his compound. Others say that he flew away. Others say that he's still in the country, but we don't know where. Maybe in some regions that are still loyal to him. The situation is unstable. It is a war, so we cannot say otherwise.
Certainly a very disorganised picture. Is this the right time for Italy to be releasing frozen assets to the rebel council when it's still very unclear who's in control here?
I think everybody now is racing to release money to the transitional government because everybody is trying to make the whole situation stabilize, so to get the contracts again working, to get the oil field working, and the only way is to provide money to the transitional government because there's a trust fund that has been created a few months ago where the British, the French, the Spanish are putting money. It's probably the only way to get things going and to stabilize the economy again and the business that is going on.
Okay, obviously Western countries have a huge interest now in the potential opening of Libyan oil fields. We're seeing this sort of wrangling amongst the Westerners to speak to the head of the rebel council. Italy has come under some criticism for switching sides seemingly very, very quickly. I was talking to you a bit about that earlier, and you sort of were saying that actually it's not unexpected at all, certainly here in Italy, for that to happen.
Not at all. Italy has a history of changing sides. It happens all the time. Even in politics, Italian politicians always change sides. This is not a surprise for Italians. It can be a bit hypocritical and cynical to judge, to act like this. But any form of judgment for this must be suspended because we Italians know that our Prime Minister is used to change sides. As we said, everybody is racing to get the business back going again. This is a race that will see the highest bidder to prevail on the others. Even if historical relationships between Italy and Libya have been going on for so many years, we must not forget that the first to intervene on the military level were the French and the British. They brought the troops on the ground first. They brought the troops on the ground before anybody else. The Italians came after. So this can be, we can expect from this intervention from the level of the intervention, the level of investment. It will depend on the first who intervene, the first who will.
Well, the Italian government certainly aren't hanging back now, are they? Whose interest is releasing this money in? Is it in the interest of the Libyan people, or is it interested in the national governments?
Even if Jibril said that there's a humanitarian crisis, so the interest of money to be released is for the population, for the people of Libya, we must not also forget that the main interest, I'd say, is for the big oil companies that are making business in Libya. Not much of national interest, because national interest is driven by oil companies everywhere in the world. So.
Luca, thank you very much for joining us. On that note, we've heard a lot of critics saying that these actions that are being taken, the Italian government pledging to release this money, is it really in the interest? Is it being done for the right reasons? They're saying that, there's still a big question mark over whether the NATO mission going in for humanitarian reasons, really that justification stands up to scrutiny now. And at a time when, the conflict's still very much going on in Libya, the Libyan people themselves are still burying their dead, whether so publicly the Western leaders are now coming forward to host these meetings with the rebel leaders and to be releasing money. There's certainly a lot of criticism at that. Now, I was speaking to some other analysts earlier on this week in Rome. They said morally, that's absolutely right. It's exactly what a lot of people are feeling. But realistically, whether you like it or not, oil is going to play a big factor